Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with the daily technical update. It is Thursday, the 28th of November. Today we'll just have a quick look at Novo Nordisk, the pharmaceutical company doing the obesity drugs, and it has been trading in a falling trend for quite some time now and forming this what appears to be a falling wedge-like pattern, as we can see here. Tried to break above the upper falling trend line here 2 days ago on Tuesday. It fails, and what I will do, I'll remove this one and then add a new one, and I'll add this one here, say okay, if it breaks up one again, and it needs to close above the upper falling trend line and also above 781.60, and that is Danish kroner, my friends. So that will actually tell you that now it's broken bullish out of it. There's divergence on the RSI, as you can see here. The RSI values are rising as the market's been declining. However, if it breaks back below the 40 threshold, we could see another push lower. If we're looking at the weekly chart, we can see what has actually been going on. It has unfolded this shoulder-like pattern. It had a bearish engulfing, top and reversal, two shoulders and a head, and this falling neckline, which will hurt the performance obviously because most of the movement has taken place before it actually broken below the neckline, and we dipped just below 700. We are in a negative sentiment, but for now it seems like it has stopped the bleeding a little bit. If it takes out the lows here at 697.80, well, then there's risk down to around 650, 640 level. But keep an eye on if it starts moving around here at the 781.60. Its competitor, Eli Lilly, has also been in a bearish trend for some time, but as we can see here on the weekly chart, it actually bounced from support around 724.5, around that level, bounced a bit. Negative sentiment though, and that means we can remove this one because the divergence here has been reset. On the daily chart, well, also divergence as meaning that the downtrend is maybe in an exhaustive mood with higher RSI values but lower prices, and it also has bounced nicely. If it can get back above these levels here at 858, 859, well, then there could be further upside potential, but it will be a little bit of a struggle around these areas here around 825, 840. So keep an eye on if it starts moving back to 750 level, meaning closing this gap area here, well, then we could see another push lower. On the US markets, we have S&P 500. Yesterday was a little bit quiet, a little bit lower. We are still had this all-time high close there, so we are still in a bullish trend. However, there's now divergence on the RSI indicating trend exhaustion, but again, trust the trend. As long as we haven't closed this gap here, I remain bullish on S&P 500, and this gap means that it should close below 5,783. That would be key, but it seems fairly strong though. So as long as those can close that gap, I remain bullish with a potential higher. On Nasdaq, it was a bit lower yesterday. Still, if it hasn't closed this gap down to 20,227, I remain cautiously bullish, but not as bullish on the S&P 500 because what we have seen is that some of the big names, especially Nvidia, they are struggling at the moment. It is Apple that is holding it up a little bit. We are indicating a slightly up just pre-market here. On the Dow Jones index, that has been the strongest of them all. And I will remove this one because it's obsolete now. We can see that it bounced from there. All-time highs. Actually, no divergence, indicating likely higher levels on Dow Jones index. So I think that is for now is the strongest of them, and that's because we have seen energy. We have seen some tech names, and we have seen especially also banks pushing higher, and also retail in the form of Walmart that has pushed much higher, lifting the Dow Jones Industrial Index. European markets, we have EUROSTOXX 50, once again closing just around the 4732 here, above the 4700 level. We are in a bearish trend, and it can't really get it together and move higher. If it can get back above 4850, maybe it can get a push up to 4900. But in general, Europe markets, they seem fairly weak, despite the fact now we have indicated the EUROSTOXX 50 a little bit higher at the open. But let's see if we can hold that. What is key also is that it bounces every time. You can see all these long wicks down here, or spikes down, or shadows down. Well, it is still holding on about the 4700, which is a little bit sign of strength and support in this region here. Let's see for how long it can hold. If it can take out 4832, 4835, well, then there could be a potential up to 4900. DAX still key support 19,000. It is forming what appears to be a descending triangle-like pattern. You can see the upper trend line here declining. We have a kind of a horizontal line here in this region here, just around 19,000. It really needs to break out of this with a close, and it never closed below 19,000, which is a key. And just a quick look at CAC 40. The French index, it tested 7,100 in yesterday's session, but bounced, and maybe that was a little bit of exhaustive move of short term for CAC 40, but we are still in a downtrend. There's no divergence on the RSI, indicating we are likely to push lower. If you just quickly look at the weekly chart, we can see what's actually going on. It is in these areas here, just above 7,000. We could see lower levels, and I think we'll get that in the coming days and weeks. For CAC 40 to turn around, just have a chance to turn around, well, it needs to get back about 73.40, sorry. Euro dollar has bounced quite a bit yesterday, faltering a little bit this morning. Can't get all the way up to 106.10, which could be key for a push up to 107. If it starts sliding lower, back lower, and take out the 104.25, 104 down here, then expect lower levels towards, and here we have to look at the weekly chart, towards the 102 level, 102.25, around here we have some strong support. On cable, sterling dollar, well, cable also bounced quite strongly, but needs to get back above 127.15. That little spike up here needs to get back above 38.2 retracement for a push up to around 128, possibly higher, 128.30, and it could also resume a bearish trend on the medium term. And the weekly, we can see we're in a negative bearish sentiment, a bearish trend, and also negative sentiment on the RSI, indicating likely lower levels, but keep an eye on those levels there. Euro sterling still not doing much, just in this falling trend here, towards 82.30, but for now it is holding on a little bit, so fairly boring for euro sterling at the moment. If it breaks above 83.75, well, then it could be potential higher towards 84.5. Dollar yen in correction mode or reversal mode. After we could see here on the weekly, got rejected at the 786 retracement, just below it. It ran out of steam here at the 157.16, and also the RSI on the weekly got rejected at 60 threshold. We are now below, trading around, I would say, 151.45, and let's just zoom in so we can actually see what's going on. Bouncing from the 38.2, just below 151. RSI still holding on above a 40 threshold, so maybe you could get a little bit more bounce if RSI takes out 40 threshold, and we see another push below the lows from yesterday at 150s but 45, then expect a push lower towards 149.40, possibly all the way down to around 147.40, 147.20 support area. The euro yen Euro-yen is currently at the 61.8 retracement here at 159.55, bouncing a little bit. We are in a bearish trend. We are in a negative sentiment, could push lower, but expect a little bit of a bounce here. And maybe next couple of days where I try to get back up to 162, but we're also below the cloud, meaning that we are likely to push a lower. Also, yen testing the 98 key support at the moment, and just the lower part of cloud area. However, we are in a negative sentiment on the RSI. We are in a bearish trend, lower lows and lower highs and lower lows, indicating we are likely to push lower in the coming days and weeks. But do expect it trying to get back above 99. I'm not quite sure it will succeed, but if it does, and if it actually gets back above the cloud and back above 100, it could push higher. But I favor the downside at the moment. The sterling yen also in a downtrend, negative sentiment. I think we will see a test of the 61.8 retracement and support here just around 190. Aussie dollar still in this range here between 64.40 and 65.50. It really needs to break out, and we need to look at the wheel chart just to have an indication what's really going on. It's these spikes down here. That's where we are at the moment. I think we could still see another push low, despite here on the weekly, on the daily, we have some divergence. We can see higher RSI levels indicating trend exhaustion. But if RSI slides below and close below the rising trend line here, expect another push lower towards 64 and 63.5. Dollar Canada. I will keep the weekly chart here. We can see what's going on. A weekly Canada that failed to close above 141. It could be called range bound here between 141 and 139.25. That is the range it needs to break out of and close above or below for direction. We have divergence on the RSI, meaning we were in uptrend exhaustion mode, but if RSI closes above the upper falling trend line, we are likely to see higher levels. And we can see here on the weekly, we are actually in a bullish trend after taking out all these peaks up here, these spikes up. We are in a bullish trend on the medium term. Sterling Canada also very volatile, almost up to the 178.30 resistance and the 100 moving average here. I think we will start seeing, and it actually started already, sliding lower. And if it takes out 176.80 again, I think we'll see a push lower towards the previous lows here. RSI is still negative sentiment. However, if we do get a close above 178.30, and RSI can confirm a bullish sentiment, a positive sentiment above 60 threshold, we could see a push higher. EURSWISS, well, it's hovering around 93 level after spiking lower to 92, and we could remain in this area for quite some time. We can see what's going on here on the weekly. It spiked down to previous spikes down there. So it's really fairly boring at the moment, I would say, without any clear direction. Of course, we are in a bearish trend, but it seems like it's exhausting at the moment. If we get back above 93.60, there could be a push to 94, but really needs to get back above 94.50 to really reverse this bearish trend there. On the dollar Swiss, that has let's just adjust it a little bit. Testing the 88 support level. If it breaks below that, despite just to touch it there just a little bit lower, 88 level, and then we're looking at 87.50, possibly further down on in a corrective phase here on dollar Swiss. So keep an eye on 88. Otherwise, we are bouncing a little bit, but it has broken this rising wedge-like pattern, so maybe we could see it pushing a little bit low, but it will also be interesting to see what euro dollar will be doing. So keep an eye on 88 for now. Dollar index has taken out yesterday the 106 support, but we don't close just spot on it, bouncing a little bit today. So that is the key level to look out for, 106.04. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, well, then expect a push down to around 105.11. We can see here on the weekly we are in a bullish trend. Just back below the resistance there, but bullish trend supported by positive sentiment could push higher. If it starts moving back above 107, they expect to push higher, but I think we will see a correction on the dollar index. Gold has been fairly quiet overnight, or actually the past 2 days. After bouncing from the 61.8 retracement here, and you can see at 26.07 bounce from that, and we need direction. We needed to take out 26.07 for a push lower to the 25, 40, 50 level, or it needs to bounce back above above 26.73. That is the key what should be going on for the next few days and weeks. We could be caught range bound in this area here, but we are below the 55 moving average, so you see it got rejected there and needs to get back. I think we will start moving back above the 55 moving average. I think we'll see a push towards these levels here around 27.20 level, possibly higher. We are still in above the cloud, but what is key on the RSI, the strength indicator, it needs to close. It must close back above 64, so it got rejected there. If it does close above 64, so expect higher levels. On the silver has been weak the past couple of days, testing 29.70 support. If it drops lower here, we could see a 29 area where we have the 200 moving average coming up. We are currently in a negative sentiment, indicating we could push a little bit lower, and we also got a lower close yesterday. So we are actually short-term in a bearish trend, and we're also below the cloud. So I think we could see a push down to around 29. On copper still range bound here between about 400 and 418, which is a key resistance. It needs to break above to have a chance to get up to 429, 430. On the energy market, crude oil has been fairly quiet the past few days, sliding a little bit lower, still in this range here we talked about for so long, 66.70 and 72.80. Brent crude oil also in this range here, 70 spot 72 and 76.32. It really needs to break that. Currently we are in a negative sentiment on the RSI, indicating lower levels, but we need confirmation. We are below the cloud and also below moving averages. What is not in a little bit bearish mood is the natural gas. We have here Dutch TTF gas that is still in a bullish trend, small corrections, and as we've talked for quite some time, you can see we are still in a rising trend here on the weekly chart with potential. There's no resistance until around 55, 56, 57 level. Positive sentiment on the RSI indicating likely higher levels. Henry Hub gas, nat gas, US nat gas got sold off a little bit yesterday. We could be in a bit of a short-term exhausted mood, and a correction down to around $3 could be seen. We are, however, in a bullish trend on the weekly, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, and with the resistance here around 364. If it takes out that, especially with a close, then there's potential higher. On the interest rates or yield side, we have US 10-year Treasury yields that spiked just below 4.25, support yesterday, dancing around it just above now here. If it takes it out once again, I think we'll see a push down to around 4.15, where we have the 55 moving average coming up, giving some support, and there's some support here around 4.14. So we could see a push down. I think we'll see a push down to there. What will be key? Will the RSI then close back below 40 threshold, or will it bounce off, and then we'll see a bounce on the 10-year yields. On the 2-year, also in a bit of corrective mood, tested yesterday, spiked below the minor support here at 422. There's still a potential lower to around 410, 406 support, maybe lower to 402. I don't think we'll see it below 4%, but you shouldn't rule it out. But support here around just above 4%. On the EuroBund future testing 134.25. I think we'll see a retest today, but what is key, if we're looking at the weekly chart, that is really key. I think we could see it pushing towards 136.29. That is really key resistance right there that should be observed. We are forming this ascending like triangle pattern. If it moves back above 60 threshold, it could break it, but let's see if it gets out there. And finally, on the Gilts, UK Gilts, also in a very strong bounce towards a 96, maybe even up to around a 97 here in the coming days. Key will be will get the RSI back above 60 threshold or not, and we can see very strong bounce. It didn't get all the way down to 91. It had the potential. And of course, if it starts moving back below 95, then it could resume a downtrend. Bitcoin has bounced back a little bit here, and maybe it will have another go pushing towards the 100,000 level. Can we actually do that? I think we'll see it, but if it takes out 90,000 and 80, around 90,000, then we could see a larger correction. What was key yesterday was that we actually had now suddenly Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin on the day and pushed above 3,600. And just below the 3,700, we are in a bullish trend. Could push higher here, maybe towards 4,000 here in the coming days and going to next week. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day. Talk to you again tomorrow.